Hello, and welcome to another Behind the Poem story. Today's Behind the Poem story is called Take the Dog for a Walk, and it's in the first half of the book and reaches the halfway point for me telling my Behind the Poem stories. I have been doing this for a while, and I'm really enjoying telling you the stories behind my poems. I hope that these stories about where the poems came from give you a deeper understanding of me as a writer, of poetry, of yourself, of where stories come from and how we get inspired by poetry. I hope when people read my poems that they will see parts of themselves or parts of people they know, recognize experiences and emotions, and use them to feel better or explore their own experiences and emotions, and use writing to maybe put it out there and express it when you didn't think you could express it before. And Take the Dog for a Walk is no exception. I wrote Take the Dog for a Walk somewhere in the last 3 years. I was trying to reflect back on some of my more recent experiences, some of my experiences having come to live in England, having experienced some of the worst and best times of my entire life, living here and being here and getting my dream job and all of those things. And Take the Dog for a Walk is a poem that has two layers of meaning. On the surface, the first layer of meaning is something that every pet owner knows, is especially if it's a family pet, especially if you have children that promise that they would feed it and walk it and do all of the grooming and please, 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 can't we have that pet, please, mom and dad. But even if you're in a couple or single and you own a pet, you know that as much as we love them, as much as we need them, and as much as they become part of our lives, they are little tyrants. Once we have chosen a pet, whether it's a dog or a cat, we are completely at the mercy of taking care of them, because they can't take care of themselves the way that we have domesticated pets. And so once you have chosen a pet, it's not just when it's convenient. So when the dog needs to go out, dog needs to go out. And it doesn't matter if it's snowing or raining, or if you've had a bad day, or if you're in a bad mood, the pet needs to be taken care of. And so Take the Dog for a Walk is an expression of that the dog is always there while you have the dog, and that you always need to make sure that you cater to its needs, because its needs aren't going to wait. Sometimes our needs can't wait either, but a lot of times our needs can. And so it reflects on how we take care of someone who can't put aside their feelings or moments of need for food or rest or respite. And animals do take care of us. They do make us feel better. They give us a completely unconditional love. Okay, with cats it's a little bit less, but they do seem to know when we're sad. They seem to know when we're having a rough time of it. And they come and they check us out, and they make sure that we're okay, as they're human, so to speak. The second layer of meaning within this poem is a little bit deeper and a little bit more personal. It's an extended metaphor. And anyone who knows me knows that I follow the trend of defining my struggle with episodic depression as living with the black dog. And this is not an uncommon metaphor for depression, because it does lend itself to that same kind of ever-present living with something that you never know when it's going to bite you. You never know when it's going to try and force its needs on you. And like episodic depression, manic depression, anxiety, all kinds of mental health issues are ones that once you have them, they are things that you live with, that are part of your life, that you maybe there isn't a reason for them. And a myth of depression is, that you're just feeling sad, or that you just need to get over it. And that, maybe taking medications is for you, which is great. I have been on medications before and it has helped. I don't always need to be on medication, but there are people whose episodic depression is severe enough that they do need to be on medication. But the medication comes with its own baggage as well. Or people who are in therapy or using the assistance of a medical doctor. These are all modern tools that we have to deal with them. But at the end of the day, despite any tools that you have from the modern world to help you deal with it, you're the one with the mental illness, and the people in your life are the one who are there all the time. The tools that help don't cure. It's not that kind of thing. And I usually define it as the black dog, because it is like a pet that I have adopted and accepted and learned to live with and maintain and monitor, so that it doesn't ever take over my life, and it doesn't ever make its needs more important than my needs. When I was a teenager, I experienced my first bout of episodic depression, and my family was what saved me. My family, my friends, they were there for me, and they didn't need to understand. They were just there. They loved me unconditionally and completely, and it's what saved me and what allowed me to learn and develop well enough to be able to deal with it on my own. Because without that, I wouldn't be here to talk to you about it. And when I was a teenager, I tried to express how that felt, and it was the beginning of me using poetry to express those things. There is a poem that is very early in the collection called The Dark Place, and I have already done the video that explains the background of that particular poem. But this one was written more recently to express how that experience has changed and has become something that you learn to deal with and you learn to live with. Today is World Mental Health Day. And on World Mental Health Day, I thought it important to talk about how these things change and these things develop, and you learn to live with them. And you learn to live with them with the assistance of those that love you. But you need, and in trying to capture my experience with this and my adult experience with it, it's become more of a pest, less of a beloved pet, and more of something that I have taken on and I have tolerance for and acceptance of as part of who I am. But, knowing that I can't just dump it somewhere, that I can't just get rid of it, as we can't get rid of any pets that we have acquired. I am keeping it under control and learning to live with it. And it sits in the corner, and it does, it behaves itself most of the time. And when something sets it off, almost like the triggers for an episodic depression episode for me, knock at the door, sending it barking all over my head, I have learned the tools with which to calm it down and to make it so that it does not detract from my life, that it doesn't debilitate me. But not everyone is so lucky. And it's important that you check on people that have these problems, have these issues, have these conditions, because we don't always reach out. I have, over a long time, trained myself to reach out when I absolutely need to. And my friends never fail me. My family never fails me. They always reach back. But there are people who have a more severe versions of mental health problems than I do. And for them, it can be a lot harder to reach out, because they're told that they should just get rid of it or just get over it. They're told that it's too much. You ask too much. You need too much. And just like in the poem, when it talks about how needy the dog in the poem is, there is a need in the black dog that won't always let us rest. And there's not always a reason. There is sometimes a reason. And just as there is sometimes a medication that can help, or there is sometimes a meditation that can help, or there is sometimes things that can help, but sometimes there isn't. And there is sometimes a reason why we have these issues, and sometimes not. It's sometimes someone's fault, and sometimes not. And it's really important that when you know someone who struggles with their own mental health, that you listen, that you reach out to them and just be there if that's all that's needed. Just accept, just love unconditionally, because nobody asks for these things. Nobody wants to live with the black dog. Nobody wants to take the darn thing for a walk when it's raining or when it's dark. Nobody wants it. But sometimes we have to. And we do what we have to be the best people that we can be dealing with this kind of thing. So check on those people that you know that have it, because we don't always reach out because we're afraid of wearing out our welcome. We don't bring the dog around to your yard all the time because we're afraid you're going to get tired of it, tired of helping. Compassion fatigue, they call it. People who are tired of the same person seeking assistance, or the same person asking to talk to them, asking for help, needing it. But nobody who asks for the help doesn't need it, and should never be told that they shouldn't ask, because that is when the dog bites and you go deeper. Take the dog for a walk is the person in the poem, people I know who live with the black dog, who live with their own version of the black dog, huffing and puffing and knowing that they have to do what they have to do to take care of themselves. And when we take the dog for a walk, if we run into you, it's because we know that you can help and make just a little bit better. I feel like I'm circling the same point, but it is one of those things that's very important to me to reach out to the friends that I know that are suffering. And when I am suffering and I reach out, it's very important to me that the people I reach out to know how important they are to me, and how I never want to be a burden. But I know that if I don't reach out when I need to, I'll be more of a burden. And it's important that anyone who doesn't have this experience, that doesn't live with it, know that nobody wants to be a burden. And if they're asking for help, it's because they believe you can help. So, on Mental Health Day, make sure you look after people, especially now with everything that's going on and how much worse it's getting. And know that if you are suffering from this, there is someone else who knows how you feel. And it's okay to ask for help. So, go take the dog for a walk and then enjoy your evening, knowing that you're taking care of yourself because you are seen and you are valued. Thank you. Good night.